Sam Brick, and my magazine is Amplify. First thing, in what ways does your media product use, develop, or challenge forms and conventions of real media products? To start with, I've got the Mars head, which conforms to the conventions because it's big. It's right across the page at the top. I've got the importance of the left third as well. All my cover lines are mainly on the left. I've got my selling line as well, which is below my Mars head, which is where you find it on most magazines. Skyline as well. I've got the skyline to advertise some bands that feature in the magazine. Dateline and barcode as well at the bottom, which is just kind of functional to make it seem more professional and realistic. But my photography is breaking convention slightly when it comes to the left third, because it's on the centre right, which I did because I didn't want it to be covered up by too much text. And also my main article, lead article, is on the centre right as well for the same reason. I wanted it to stand out amongst everything else. The main conventions of the contents page were keeping a consistent house style through the colour scheme, so just red and white, still the same as it was on the front cover. The photography again, the black and white, kind of similar poses as well. And then there's the kind of page numbers and stuff, which is what you'd expect in any other magazine. And also the editor's note, which I put in, which is a little comment from the editor, which is in a lot of magazines, kind of saying what's in the issue and what to expect. For my double page spread, conventions, I've got drop caps, which are the large capital letters at the start of my columns of text, which is a convention of articles, everything from newspapers to magazines. The columns themselves, and my image being on a separate page as well. It's a convention of lots of music magazines, and the introduction to the text to give a bit of background about the article, to say who the band are and what the article's going to be about, and my title as well. And the next thing is, how does your media product represent particular social groups? And my magazine's trying to represent rockers, the rock genre and its attitudes. So these are just some pictures of kind of what you'd expect of rockers, really. And it represents the social groups by drawing on our pre-existing expectations. So how we would expect a person whose lifestyle is to do with rock to dress, and what their attitudes are. Also through the technical code of the shoot, such as the props that were in the shot, the guitars and amplifiers and stuff, and the Photoshop manipulation as well, the effects and stuff to give it a dark, kind of grungy tone. And the other thing it shows of this social group is the aspiration, ideals and celebrity culture, because it's on my front cover, it's one lead artist who people are aspiring to. And genre association and grouping of people as self-identification. This genre, people who follow rock associate themselves with a particular band, and that is how they identify, a part of their personality. And I tried to get that across in my magazine. And then as for what institution might distribute it, I chose Future Media, which is a large media distributor, but it owns a lot of small niche genre magazines rather than having 2 or 3 main publications. So it can publish less well-known genres like classic rock, for example. But also the traditional outlets, so news agents or specialist bookshop like W.H. Smith. Now the audience, for my magazine, there's 2 audiences. The younger audience, which is between 17 and 20, which really listen to the music as an alternative to kind of mainstream pop music or R&B or something. But also the 30 to 40-year-old age range, who were alive during the 70s when they were teenagers, when the genre was at its heyday, who's just carrying on following it from then and wanting to see what's happening really. How did you address your audience? Well, article material had to be appropriate. I had to choose things which people would be interested in actually reading. Photography, I had to provide photography which was recognisable as a part of the genre by my audience. The magazine name, Amplify, which is obviously an amplifier, which is a rock instrument, so cover lines as well. The stories have to be appropriate for the genre. And the language and style, I had to write my text and my stories in a way which would address my audience, that they would expect to be addressed.
Okay, just talk us through it. If the pictures aren't available, that's not
Yeah.
no problem.
I don't know if I pay for it. Yeah, there should be some questions from my survey posted up on there, which was my feedback, my evaluation survey.
Okay.
I think my first question, which was what genre was the magazine, I think that was close. I think it was about 50 or 40% between rock and indie. So
Sure.
I think one thing which I could have done better was possibly make it a bit more specific away from indie, because a lot of people got that confused.
Yeah.
And also the price, another question, a lot of people thought the price was a bit much, even though it was a monthly magazine.
Sure.
In terms of technologies, what I've learned, Photoshop, so layers and brushes, effects, colour curves, brightness, contrast, hue and saturation, which are all things which I didn't know about before or during the preliminary tasks, so I learnt them as I was going along. And then the other websites like Blogger and SlideShare, SurveyMonkey as well, which none of them I'd used before until now. What have I learned from the progression? How to use appropriate photography. I think the importance of having a good image, your front cover. I really learned that that's essential. Maintaining a consistent house style. We didn't really have to do that for the preliminary tasks, but for the magazine it was obviously essential. Tailoring the language and design of text to specific audiences. I had to write what my audience wanted. It was no good writing something which they didn't want. Getting different audiences' attention with appropriate article subject and writing is kind of the same thing. Text layout for access and easy flow. It's kind of a practical. You couldn't write an article which was difficult to read. People just wouldn't read it if it didn't make any sense. And again, technical design techniques like Photoshop and layout and stuff.